Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, I've been sitting on this story for a while now, and I think it's finally time to share it. About 6 months ago, I sold my company for $67 million at 28 years old. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened, what I learned, and the mistakes I made along the way that almost cost me everything. Before we get into it, let me be clear about something. This is not a flex. This is not me trying to show off. This is me pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build and sell a business. Because the internet makes it look easy and glamorous, and I'm here to tell you it was neither. It was brutal. It was terrifying. And there were more times than I can count where I thought I was going to fail. So let's go back to the beginning. 5 years ago, I was 23 years old, working a corporate job I hated, making $52,000 a year, and feeling like my soul was dying a little bit every single day. I would sit in meetings that could have been emails, work on projects that didn't matter, and watch the clock tick down until I could go home and work on what I actually cared about. What I cared about was a problem I kept seeing. Black-owned businesses were struggling to get visibility online. They had amazing products, incredible services, but they didn't know how to market themselves digitally. And the marketing agencies that did exist, they were either too expensive, didn't understand our community, or both. So I started a side hustle. At night, after my 9 to 5, I would help Black-owned businesses build their social media presence. I charged $300 a month and I did everything. Content creation, posting, engagement, strategy, analytics, everything. And I was working with businesses that were making real money but had zero online presence. My first client was a hair salon in Atlanta. The owner was making good money, had a loyal client base, but she had like 200 followers on Instagram and was posting maybe once a month. Within 3 months of working together, she had 5,000 followers, a wait list for appointments, and was expanding to a second location. And she told everyone she knew about me. That's when I realized there's a massive market here. Black-owned businesses need digital marketing help, they're willing to pay for it, and there aren't enough people serving this community well. So I made a decision that scared the hell out of me. I quit my corporate job and went all in on building this into a real company. Year 1 was survival mode. I was living off my savings, working 16-hour days, and learning everything on the fly. I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to hire people. I didn't know how to scale. But I knew how to work hard, and I knew I was solving a real problem. I started documenting my process. Every time I did something for a client, I wrote down exactly how I did it. What worked, what didn't, how long it took. I was basically creating a playbook without even realizing it. And that playbook became the foundation for everything that came later. By the end of year 1, I had 15 clients paying me an average of $500 a month. That's $7,500 a month in revenue. Sounds great, right? Except I was doing all the work myself. I was the CEO, the social media manager, the customer service rep, the accountant, everything. I was making decent money, but I was completely burnt out. That's when I learned lesson number 1. You can't scale yourself. If the business can only grow as much as you personally can work, you don't have a business. You have a job. And I didn't quit my corporate job to create another job for myself. So I had to figure out how to scale. Year 2 was all about building systems and hiring people. I took that playbook I had been creating and turned it into actual standard operating procedures. I broke down every task into steps that someone else could follow. Then I hired my first employee. Her name was Jasmine, and she was a freelance social media manager I found on Upwork. I was terrified to hire someone. What if she wasn't as good as me? What if clients didn't like her? What if I couldn't afford to pay her? But I did it anyway, because I had to. And you know what? She was better than me at a lot of things. She was more creative with content. She was better at engaging with followers. She freed me up to focus on getting more clients and building the business. Within 6 months, I had 5 employees, all remote, all paid well, and we were serving 50 clients. 50 clients at an average of $700 a month. That's $35,000 a month in revenue. But here's the thing. Revenue isn't profit. After payroll, software, taxes, and everything else, I was taking home maybe $10,000 a month, which sounds great, but remember, I was working 80-hour weeks and I was responsible for 5 people's livelihoods. This is where most people get stuck. They build a nice little business that makes decent money and they plateau. Because scaling past this point requires a completely different skill set. You have to think bigger, you have to take bigger risks, and you have to be willing to let go of control. Year 3 was when everything changed. I realized that if I wanted to scale past 50 clients, I couldn't keep doing custom work for everyone. I needed a product, something repeatable, something scalable. So I created a software platform. Now, I didn't know how to code. I still don't. But I knew what I needed to build. I hired a developer and I told him exactly what I wanted. A platform that would help Black-owned businesses manage their social media, schedule posts, track analytics, and access templates and strategies specifically designed for our community. Building that platform cost me $60,000. $60,000 I didn't really have. I put it on credit cards. I took out a small business loan. I was betting everything on this working. And let me tell you, there were nights I couldn't sleep because I was so stressed about whether this was going to work or bankrupt me. The platform launched in month 8 of year 3. I priced it at $97 a month, and I used my existing client base as beta testers. I told them, try this for 3 months for free, give me feedback, and if you love it, you can keep using it at a discounted rate. 20 of them said yes. The feedback was incredible. They loved it. They wanted more features. They were telling other business owners about it, so I opened it up to the public, and within 3 months, I had 500 paying users. 500 people at $97 a month. That's $48,000 a month in recurring revenue from software. This is lesson number 2. Recurring revenue is king. When you have clients paying you month after month for a product, you have predictable income. You can plan, you can hire, you can scale. One-time payments are great, but subscriptions are how you build real wealth. Year 4 was insane. We went from 500 users to 5,000 users. 5,000 users at $97 a month. That's $485,000 a month in revenue. $5.8 million a year. And suddenly, I wasn't running a small business anymore. I was running a real company. I hired a real team, developers, customer support, sales, marketing. I had 30 employees. I moved into an actual office. I raised my first round of funding, $800,000 from angel investors who believed in what we were building. And I was learning so much about running a real company that my head was spinning. But here's what nobody tells you about growth. It's terrifying. Every time you level up, you face new problems you've never dealt with before. Managing 1 employee is different from managing 5. Managing 5 is different from managing 30. And suddenly, I was dealing with HR issues, legal issues, technical debt in our software, competition, customer churn, all of it. I made so many mistakes during this time. I hired people too fast and had to let some of them go. I said yes to opportunities I should have said no to. I almost burned out completely because I was trying to do everything myself again. I had to learn to delegate, to trust my team, to focus on the things only I could do as CEO. Lesson number 3. Growing a company is just as much about growing yourself as a leader. The person who starts the company is not the same person who can scale it to millions. You have to evolve. You have to learn new skills. You have to be willing to admit what you don't know and hire people who know more than you. Year 5 was the year everything came together. We hit 10,000 users. We were generating over $9 million a year in revenue. We were profitable. We had a strong team. We had a product that people loved. And that's when the acquisition offers started coming in. The first offer came from a larger marketing software company. They offered $30 million. I turned it down. Not because I didn't want to sell, but because I knew we were worth more. We were growing fast, we had strong unit economics, and we were serving a market that nobody else was serving well. I knew if I waited, I could get a better offer. 3 months later, another offer came in, $45 million. I turned that down too. My advisors thought I was crazy. My investors were getting nervous, but I had done my research. I knew companies similar to ours were selling for 10 times annual recurring revenue. We were at $9 million in ARR. That meant we should be valued at $90 million. So I held out. This is lesson number 4. Know your worth. Don't sell yourself short just because you're scared or tired or someone waves money in your face. If you've built something valuable, someone will pay what it's worth, and if they won't, keep building until they will. The final offer came from a private equity firm that specialized in buying and scaling software companies. They offered $67 million. $60 million upfront and $7 million in earnout over 2 years if we hit certain growth targets. I took the deal. And let me tell you about the process, because it's nothing like you see in the movies. It took 4 months from offer to close. 4 months of due diligence, lawyers, accountants, audits, negotiations. They went through everything, every contract, every line of code, every customer conversation. They wanted to make sure they were buying what they thought they were buying. There were moments where I thought the deal was going to fall apart. They found issues with some of our contracts. They questioned our customer retention numbers. They wanted me to stay on for 2 years to help with the transition, which I hadn't planned for. Every day was negotiations and stress and uncertainty. But we got to the closing. I remember sitting in the lawyer's office, signing document after document after document. And then it was done. $60 million hit my bank account. After taxes, after paying back investors, after legal fees, I walked away with $38 million. $38 million at 28 years old. So let me tell you what that moment felt like. It didn't feel like I thought it would. I thought I would feel excited, validated, like I had finally made it. Instead, I felt empty, because for 5 years, my entire identity had been wrapped up in building this company. Every decision I made was about the company. Every relationship I had was affected by the company. And now, it was gone. The first month after the sale, I was lost. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had more money than I ever dreamed of, but I didn't have purpose. I didn't have the thing I woke up every day to work on, and that was harder than any challenge I faced while building the company. This is lesson number 5. Success doesn't fix everything. Money doesn't fix everything. Building and selling a company for millions of dollars didn't make me happier. It didn't solve my problems. It didn't give me fulfillment. It gave me freedom and options, which are incredible, but it didn't give me purpose. That's something I had to find again on my own. So let me break down the actual numbers for you, because I think transparency is important. The company sold for $67 million. Here's where that money went. First, taxes. Capital gains tax took about $14 million. That's just the reality of selling a company. Uncle Sam gets paid first. Then I had to pay back my investors. They had put in $800,000 and owned 20% of the company. So they got $13.4 million. Good for them. They believed in me when nobody else did. Then there were legal fees and transaction costs. About $1.6 million. Lawyers are expensive, but good lawyers are worth every penny when you're negotiating a deal like this. That left me with $38 million. Out of that $38 million, I gave bonuses to my team. $2 million total, split among my 30 employees based on their tenure and contribution. Because they built this company with me, and I wanted them to share in the success. So I ended up with $36 million in the bank. Life-changing money, generational wealth. Money that means my family will never struggle again. Money that gives me the freedom to do whatever I want with the rest of my life. Now let me tell you what I wish I had known before I started this journey. If I could go back and give 23-year-old me advice, here's what I would say. 1. Start with a real problem. Don't build something because you think it's cool or because you want to be an entrepreneur. Build something because you've identified a problem that a lot of people have, and you have a better solution than what currently exists. That's the only way you'll have the motivation to keep going when things get hard. 2. Validate before you build. I spent a year doing the work manually before I built the software. That year taught me everything I needed to know about what customers actually wanted. If I had jumped straight to building software, I would have built the wrong thing. Do the work first, learn the problem intimately, then build the solution. 3. Hire slowly, fire quickly. I made the mistake of hiring too fast when we started growing. I was so desperate for help that I brought on people who weren't the right fit. And I kept them too long because I felt bad about letting them go. That cost me time, money, and team morale. Hire people who are better than you at their specific job, and if they're not working out, move on quickly. 4. Focus on unit economics. How much does it cost you to acquire a customer? How much revenue do they generate over their lifetime? If those numbers don't work, nothing else matters. I obsessed over our customer acquisition cost and lifetime value from day one. That's why we were so attractive to acquirers. We had proven economics. 5. Build a business that can run without you. This was the hardest lesson for me. I thought I had to be involved in everything. But the reality is, a business that requires the founder to do everything is not worth much to an acquirer. They're buying a business, not hiring you as an employee. Document everything, build systems, hire great people, make yourself unnecessary. 6. Raise money strategically. I only raised $800,000 and I gave up 20% of my company for it. That was the right amount for us. We didn't need millions in venture capital. We were profitable and growing. More money would have meant more dilution and more pressure to exit fast. Know how much you actually need and don't raise more than that. 7. Take care of yourself. I worked 16-hour days for years. I skipped vacations. I neglected my relationships. I thought that was what it took to succeed. And maybe it did, but it came at a cost. I burned out multiple times. I had panic attacks. I cried more than I care to admit. Success is great, but not if you destroy yourself getting there. Find balance. It's hard, but it's necessary. So where am I now? 6 months post-sale, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still working with the company for the next 18 months as part of my earn-out agreement. But I'm also exploring what's next. I'm investing in other Black-owned businesses. I'm mentoring young entrepreneurs. I'm thinking about what problem I want to solve next. Because here's the thing. Selling my company for $67 million didn't complete me. It didn't make me whole. It gave me resources and freedom, but it didn't give me fulfillment. That's something I'm still working on. That's something I'm still building. And I'm okay with that. Because I've learned that building something meaningful is more important than building something valuable. They can be the same thing, but they don't have to be. And my next chapter is going to be about building something that matters, not just something that sells. If you're watching this and you're thinking about starting a business, let me tell you, do it. But do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because you want to get rich quick. Don't do it because you want to be famous. Do it because you have something you need to build. Do it because there's a problem you can't stop thinking about. Do it because you want to create something that makes a difference. The money will come if you build something valuable. The recognition will come if you solve a real problem. The success will come if you stay consistent and keep learning. But none of that matters if you're building for the wrong reasons. I built a company that served Black-owned businesses because I saw them struggling, and I knew I could help. The fact that it sold for $67 million is incredible. But the part I'm most proud of? The thousands of businesses that grew because of what we built. The entrepreneurs who got their first big break because they finally had the tools to compete. The generational wealth that was created in our community because Black-owned businesses were able to thrive. That's the legacy, not the exit, not the number, the impact. So if you got value from this video, drop a comment letting me know what you're building or what problem you want to solve. I read every single comment, and I love seeing what you all are working on. Hit subscribe if you want more real talk about entrepreneurship, wealth building, and what it really takes to win in business. And remember, your story is still being written. Your biggest success might be 5 years away, or 10 years away, or next month. But it only happens if you start. So start, build, learn, fail, get back up, and keep going. I'll see you in the next one. Stay focused, stay hungry, and let's keep building.